Hey everybody, this is Alan from Woodcrest Bonsai. Today I'm going to work on this Premna. And this tree has quite a few issues. First of all, as you can see, it's growing almost horizontally. And this is a tree I put into this pot. I thought it had some nice potential, but then it never really thrilled me, so I just haven't really done much with it. Haven't really done anything with it, including root pruning. So if we look at the roots, this tree has grown itself right out of the pot. It's just absolutely insane how many roots there is at the bottom of the pot. And it's in a hexagonal Bunjin pot. And the tree is obviously a Bunjin style tree. It's got a thin trunk with some movement. And if we discount all this stuff down here, all the branching is in the top third of the tree. But I've never really looked at this thing and said, okay, so where do I want to go with this thing? I mean, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? So it's just sat there. So that ends today. So I'm planning on putting it back in the same pot, although that may not actually happen, but that's the plan. And let's see what this pot is all about. Okay, it's got 2 drain holes, so I could wire it in because I have the feeling that it's going to be wired in. So, I've propped it up like this, and already it looks better. It's still got an incredible amount of busyness, but at least it looks more like something. And I'm thinking very seriously of bringing it up, more like this. Is that going to even stay? How about if we do that? There we go. All right, so now we got something at least to work with. And right off the bat, I'm thinking to myself to take this off entirely here and have first main branch and then bring it up into here and make this the next main branch, have a kind of a funky apex that has that little crook in it, but there's that same kind of crook right here, so I don't think that would be too bad. And basically just take everything else off. Make it, a really true Bunjin. 2 or 3 branches total. So that's what I'm looking at right off the bat. Just, maybe we can spin it around. As you can see, we're looking from the underneath, so all the growth is pointing the other way because, of course, it's growing towards the sun. So let's take it this way. And is there anything in there that strikes me? And honestly, the answer is no. Although I really think that it's the same thing. Get this off, first branch here, second branch here, funky apex that mimics this funky curve at the base. And it could possibly be spun this way, which is it now still in the frame? Okay, it could be spun like that. But still, I just keep seeing that same kind of form. So right now I'm just going to leave the roots alone and attempt to make something more out of this tree than the giant overgrown mess that it is right now. And if I am going to bring it this far upright, then that's going to be a very interesting. Let's see if we can't come down a little. There we go. That's going to be a very interesting reduction of the roots. We're talking about taking almost the entire top from here down, off. And of course, Premna are tough plants. Root real easy, very, very aggressive growers. You know, the roots on this tree is pretty much a testament to that. And with taking off all of the top, or the, I'll just leave him like that for now, or the vast majority of it, I think that the severe root pruning is probably not going to affect this guy all that much at all. You know, and I can also look here and see, okay, so if we leave it much more angled like this, can I bring something up into here? Can there be an apex like that? This, which would be the main trunk of the upright tree, is way too heavy. So where do I go? What do I do, you know? There is probably multiple different choices of what to do with this guy. But for today, I'm going to make a decision and go with it, because I'm just tired of it, just sitting on the bench. And I look at it and I say, why? What am I doing with that thing? So we're going to make some major changes today. And I still think that this is probably the best way to go. Remove that first main branch, get rid of everything else below, bring the apex up, kind of have that funky crook which will mimic this one, and then develop a tree from there. So that's pretty much the vision that I'm looking for. Alright, so let's bring it up a little bit like that. Can we? I'll tell you what, why don't I do this? Cut off all this lower stuff. And then we can zoom up to the top. At least in theory. Okay, so this is where I'm looking. Take this off completely. See, this could be the apex, but then there's no movement. It would just be totally straight and uninteresting. So take that off. And then I'm going to take this one too. I may leave this guy just for now. And might leave a couple of back branches too. Let me see, where are the back branches? I think some of this stuff is just dead, so it can come off anyway, because it's just not going to do anything. And then shorten the back branches that I'm thinking of saving. And then I need to don't fall over. Need to get that off. And this almost looks dead here too, which is easy enough to rectify. Just chop it off. And then of course I'm going to shorten everything too. Let's shorten him to there, shorten him to there, and shorten the apex to like right there, and promote this little guy coming out. This is also dead. Okay, so that's pretty funky looking. And it's almost all in one plane. But at this point, I don't know what else to do. So now, I think I should be able to wire these guys, wire this guy down, wire this guy down. This one is easy enough. This is going to be a little tricky. And then maybe even wire this guy more like that. Oh, it just cracked. I just cracked it. So, do we just go with it anyway? Let's just go with it anyway. If you subscribe and hit the notification bell, then you can see, did the top live? Because I cracked the whole thing right there. But just a tiny little bit. So I still should be able to hold it like this. Oh, maybe not. So now what? Yeah, let's just go with it. I can. So let's go get some wire. You know what they say when you do something like that in bonsai, right? Oops. Okay, boy, it sure does look funky now, doesn't it? So I'm going to wire these two branches. And typically I would use the same wire, but I'm in the let's use up my old wire mode. So, and let me see, can I pull it closer here? Because I need to be able to get to it. Doot, 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 doot. Okay. It's another weird day. It's cool enough that I need my sweatshirt, but it's so humid. Like massively humid. Although no rain again. At least not predicted. I suppose when I was playing with this up here, I should have followed the same rule when I'm wiring, is have your thumbs where you're bending it, so that if it does begin to break, you detect the break before you do too much damage. Oh, I broke it again. Well, maybe I should just break every branch and see how they heal. I broke it right there. See, that's why you watch my channel, because I'm such an expert. Hi. Well, I wasn't doing anything with the tree anyway, so even if it all breaks, you know, hey, what's the difference? Am I even going to be able to do this? I guess I'm just going to spin it around and continue to work from here. Okay, so now what do I want to break? I mean, what do I want to wire? And that's where the... But see, I'm going to be wiring this branch down, so that will actually compress where it broke right here. If we're still even in the frame. Are we in the frame? Okay. So that will actually help right here where it cracked to possibly at least heal over. And we are at the back, so I want to bring this guy like this, so we have at least some. Yeah, that guy got severed pretty good. Of course, there's still a piece here that's attached. And if this part dies off, it'll just resprout from there. It'll take a little longer to create a branch, but it might even actually be good. because it'll give the tree more ramification. It's like this branch here is never going to get any taper. It's as thick here as it is here. It really ought to be cut back like to there and regrow. But hey. I'm going to sneeze. Whew, thank God for the pause button. You certainly didn't want to hear that. I'm a huge proponent of letting sneezes just fly. I never try to stifle my sneezes. You sneeze for a reason, is to get something out of your nose. So stifling sneezes never made any sense to me. As I'm looking through my menagerie of used wire, is there anything even usable? That guy, maybe? That guy's awfully long. Alright, let's do this one. Now the real trick is to get this guy over like that without exacerbating the crack. Although wiring this branch into place really has compressed that. So who knows? It might actually work. This piece is way too long, but Mr. Frugality that I am, I save all my wire and I don't want to cut wire, so if it's too long, then it's just going to stick out, kind of like that guy. Okay, be careful. Can I crack it up here? Maybe I can. What's the saying? 3 cracks is a charm. Okay. Yes. If we were graded on wiring ability, I would probably get an F. Although, in other videos when I wire, I always say that there's no reason for it to have to be pretty, as long as it works. Okay, now try to bend this guy without causing the break to open, and that really is pretty good. And then alright, that ain't bad. It is still so telephone pole. But we've got this branch here, we've got a couple of back branches here, and if we come into the look into the back, we got like this little tiny guy that's moving backwards, and there may be more sprouts. So, you know, this is just in the beginning stages. So I think that looks pretty good, and it's typical the way I do Bunjin. So we have this little tiny piece right here that can go. And I like this branch here, but I want it to be a little bit further out like that. So back to the wire box to get a little piece of thin wire. Did you hear me rustling around? How thin does it need to be? There's a perfect piece right there. That is one part of saving old wire, is, at least for me, I've got it just all higgledy-piggledy. Of course, I think I like higgledy-piggledy, to tell you the truth. Okay, here we go. Whenever you're adding new wire to wire a new bench, you want at least 2 runs around the main trunk. I think I'll do 3. And then we want to bring it this way, so I'm going to come under like that. And once again, my philosophy on wiring is just enough to bend the branch. Tight enough to keep it in place, but you don't want to grind it down. See, like, look at this giant loop here. Okay? Now, I did snap it right there, and you can see that the wire is really tight up against there, and that's where you're going to get wire scars, if they are going to come. Now, it may be that the break is too big and that this doesn't survive, in which case the wire is irrelevant. Just start promoting the new growth that's going to pop. And so even after all these years, I'm still making mistakes. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing. That's okay with me. If I ever tell you in all seriousness that I'm an expert and you should do everything I should do, please come and shoot me. All right. So I think that looks pretty good. And now I'm wondering, why in the world do I have this stuff? I have no idea. I know I need a back branch, but I don't like. I think I'm going to take this one off. Let's see what it looks like if we hide it. It's just too weird. So I'm going to take it off. I'm going to shorten it tremendously. And I left a little stub so that in the possibility exists that new growth will shoot out of there. So then it will be... Sorry, I didn't say timber. So anyway, new growth will come out, in theory, here, and then it will fill in that little space there. Alright, and then this guy, why do I even have this guy either? I don't know. It could, I guess it could add to the tree. Although I think if it was gone, it really wouldn't necessarily make much difference. Okay, so now is the root pruning. So yes. Okay. So we certainly got roots to prune. There's no doubt about that. Oh, and you know, I think I'll take the moss and put it aside. Scrape the moss away with the root pruner. Alright, now where were we? There's the front. So all of this needs to come off. Actually, the whole bottom needs to come off. So we shall do that. Okay, is that going to work? I probably still want more here to come off. So see, there's the new angle of the tree. Yeah, how much of that was in the frame? Who knows? So let's see what it looks like in the pot. I think we can pull it off in the same pot. So, whoops! So if we go like that, this is the front. I think that should be pretty good. Maybe take a little bit of this off. Okay, I think this is another one who's a candidate for having the root ball wired into the pot to keep it secure, or else it'll just go boom, which is how it was growing in the first place. So I need to prepare that, so it's time to pause again and go get that stuff. I think I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Oops, out. My camera doesn't listen well. Oh wait, I'm the one doing it. Okay, so now I have my macrame screen, because I don't use window screen if I'm going to wire a tree, the root ball, into the pot. It just doesn't work like that. And I want the wire that I've got here that's going to secure the tree into the pot to be as close to the edge of the inside edge of the hole. So because of that, when I do my staple, I'm going to do the staple like this. So then that inside edge, there is a hole. See, if I did it like that, then I've already taken that hole up. So put the staple in this way. And the same with the other one. Okay, done. Now I'm going to take my other one and estimate the distance, then also make it into a giant staple. And with any luck, you have the height of both of your uprights fairly similar. It doesn't have to be perfect though. And then guide it in, once again, as close to the edge of the pot as you can get. Then when you begin to compress the wire, it has nowhere else to go. If you put it like right here, you begin to compress, you'd be pushing, you'd be stressing out the actual screen. So this makes it much less stress. Okay, there we go. Got the uprights, And since it's a hexagonal pot, you can have two different fronts. What do the feet look like? So the feet are also right in line with the corners. So you can have either have this as the front or a diagonal facing as the front. And I usually like a straight front. So now I'm going to take my tree and attempt to remember where the front is on it, and then just put it down in there. Sometimes I try to thread the anchoring wire through the root ball, and that worked pretty good. And a Bunjin tree many times is right in the middle of the pot, so it's not like you need to offset it one way or the other. Okay, and if I'm just looking at the front, I know you can't see, but so that looks pretty good. And then just take I'm always worried that my elbow's in the way of the camera, which it is so many times. I'm watching my videos and I'm like, oh my God. All they're seeing is my arm. Oh no. Okay, it's not working. It's not working. It's close, but I'm going to need pliers, which I did not bring. Okay, I want it upright like that. So I'm going to be using pliers. Not like gin pliers. And whenever you're tightening a tree down into the pot, you definitely run the risk of the wires biting into the bark, biting into the trunk, just as much as you run the risk of wires biting into the branches that you're wiring. Except now it's going to be into the roots. All right, I think that's pretty good. So if we come up like this, it's still leaning forward considerably. However, I may be able to just jam some new soil down in there and keep it more upright. But that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And the tree is a far cry from what it was before, that's for sure. Okay. And I have some of the smaller grain soil, but I really want the larger grain for this guy. And then we'll just top dress it. So let's go back to the pot. And I'm pretty confident that I can push soil up underneath the root ball to push it like that and have it more upright. Okay. Ah, perfect. All right, that worked fantastic. Just pushing the soil up into the root ball. For some reason, I have these larger pieces, and I don't understand how they get into this stuff. Okay, then let's grab Another Florida earthquake, aka my foot hitting the tripod. And we've got the smaller grain, just as a little top dressing. There we go. And then the piece de resistance is, I'm going to put the moss back on there. So here we go. I guess I should stop making the joke about laying sod green side up. And in no time at all, this moss will knit back together, and it won't look like we're trying to make a map of Europe. See, there's the Czech Republic. Another little chunk. Where can we put that guy? How about right there? All right. Another earthquake. So now, can we get this whole puppy? Actually, I've got it backwards. There we go. I guess it would be less confusing if this wire wasn't down like that. Bring this wire out like that. And make a new apex with this wire. Well, it's interesting that the place that it split, because I wired this one down and compressed it, you can't even tell. And the split here, it's yet to be determined whether that's going to actually die off or not, but it's no big deal. And yeah, I mean, come on, this guy here, if it's going to be part of the deal, should at least be down like that. And we've got a wire right here. That looks good. This is really old wire because this is actually copper coated aluminum and this is just aluminum. The copper coating is gone. So let's do that. Let's wire this guy. And if you're new to wiring and you're scared of it, just do it, you know, just, it's like, okay, just gonna try it. Probably the most important part of wiring is not wiring, which I know sounds really weird, but it's keeping tabs on your branches so that the wire isn't cutting into the bark. Alright, so much nicer. So there we go. One complete restyling of a Premna. And I'm looking at this thing and it's like, it looks like my logo tree. Well, it's because I did it. You know, we all have a certain vision of what we want, and just about every Bunjin that I ever make looks like every other because they just have that. That's just, you know, it's like my signature. I've been signing my name my whole life, and it really hasn't changed that much. It's gotten a little less decipherable. But so yes, so this is a woodcrest bonsai Bunjin, which would be perfectly appropriate. Pretty hard to do anything else because it's the vision that I have in my brain for what I want. But it's, I think, well, let's put it this way. I like it way better than when we started. You know, that thing sat for so long, and it just sat, and it just, you know, and it was alive and had all those roots and, you know, et cetera, but I just never did, I could never quite figure out what I wanted to do with it. So this is a huge improvement for me. And of course, when you subscribe and hit the notification bell, then you'll be able to watch this guy continue to develop. And I really think that over time, this could become a very nice tree. It's got the potential now for a very nice feminine Bunjin. So there we go. Thanks for watching. And yes, please hit the like button and the notification bell if you've subscribed, and leave a comment if you'd like. And we will see how this guy goes. Aftercare for this guy is a little bit of shade and watered immediately afterwards, because we did chop a tremendous amount of roots off. So a little bit of shade, no fertilizer, then slowly, as I begin to see the new growth begin to elongate, then a little bit of fertilizer and bring it out into a more exposed, sunny area. So thank you so much for watching Woodcrest Bonsai.